from the chat. So we actually have multiple lives, but on YouTube, we're live on the shorts reel where a lot of people are popping up from the shorts reel, and we're also live on the long form version, which has different set of comments that is coming from over there. Then we also have those individuals that are watching us from Twitter and those individuals that's watching us from Twitch who they can comment as well. Now, since each different comment section is a sectional comment, I see everybody's comments from everywhere, and then I put your comments up on the show as I see them. As long as not a bunch of comments are coming in, I can put them up there, and then you guys can uh, see the comments that are coming from the people in the show. Special shout out. Really appreciate that, Dylan. Thank you so much for showing us a lot of gratitude because today we're about to get in on these dads and make sure that the dads get a lot of attention today. He said, so how do you stay motivated? How I stay motivated is the goal is to build a type of legacy that my success is based off of the success of the people around me. And having that type of legacy doesn't just leave money behind, it doesn't just leave stuff behind, it leaves a type of reputation that if you get with Xander on this and that, you will become a better person. People will be looking for this podcast long after I'm dead so that they can go back through the archives and find ways to improve themselves because while things change over time, as far as stock options and values and everything to that effect, the actions and processes in order to make yourself successful does not change over time. There are still things that are usable now that were usable 40 years ago, 50 years ago that nobody paid attention to because nobody knows that this existed. You said, Michael, say you're not working hard enough. Well, what can I say? You know, I, the more people that come here, the more people I teach. Outside of the podcast, I teach people, I teach their children all over the world. So I am setting a precedent. All the kids that I help get into college, all the kids I help get out of college, all of the adults that I help get out of college, the people that are already in their careers that contract with me for life coach advice to help them improve themselves on their life, their jobs, how to make themselves better. I give those guys a I give those guys what they need to better themselves in their positions so that those people can be more successful with whatever they're trying to do. I've got customers right now that I sync up with and help them with their H-1Bs, uh, visa passports, everything to that effect. This is what we do, and we just like to help people. There's a level of gratification involved around helping people. So while YouTube is not doing much for me right now, you know, people like Dylan show me a little bit of love. YouTube takes half of it. And, so out of the 10 he gave me, I got five. That helps me pay for the podcast because this podcast isn't free for me. I pay into this podcast for you guys to stream off of Twitter and TikTok and even YouTube. Do you own multi-billion-dollar companies? Yes, very successful businesses that you know they- they're not affiliated with this podcast, but very successful businesses. Give Dylan the finger of God. I am not shooting fingers at Dylan. So no pyramid scheme, no course selling. Exactly. You don't have to buy anything. There is a membership attached to the channel, but you don't have the information that I'm giving you doesn't require the membership. Enough people in the membership would have me doing private shows that the rest of the public doesn't see to satisfy the membership. But if nobody has a membership, everybody still gets this information for free. The worst thing you have to experience is an ad that pops up throughout the show while I'm giving you the information that you use for free, where you would have paid $350 for a consultant 1 hour to get the information that you get from me for 3 hours every day of the week. All you would have to do is ask an intelligent question about something that really bothers you in life, that really impacts your ability to succeed. And then I would give you the information that you need to be successful, which navigates you in the right direction. If you do end up talking to a consultant, you're already fully informed. So they're only providing you with the information that you don't remember from what I gave you so that you can be more successful, which saves you money in the long run. So, yeah, no pyramid schemes, no courses, no nothing. Knowledge is power and money is the muscle. Well, money only goes so far. Knowledge gets you in places where money can't get you. Connections get you places where knowledge and money doesn't get you. But you don't know where to find the connections if you don't have the knowledge to find the sources of the power. Because you have people who have political power, you have people who have financial power, you have people who have um, connections to political power or connections to financial power. That's how you become successful in real estate. It's not what you know, it's who you know in real estate. But when it comes down to buying out a business and firing the person at the front desk that's giving you a hard time when you're trying to check in, it's not about who you know, it's about what you can do. If you can make a phone call and buy this business in the next 20 minutes and fire the employee in front of you because they're giving you a bad day, y- your power is what you can make happen. But the most power of a king is the effort of his subjects. I can declare that a mountain should be moved, but my power is the manpower that made that mountain move, even though I never got out of my chair. So, here on this and that, when I talk about this, that, and everything in between, when I provide you guys with the information that you need to be successful, we're all going to be successful together if you're following what I'm following. Exactly. Networking. The kings of the past was networking. The king's court was all of his homies giving him advice on how to make decisions for the kingdom. The king's network was the soldiers and the subjects that performed the king's action through word of mouth. The king's satisfaction of his word being transferred from person to person before we had cell phones to make a mountain move to topple another kingdom just based on a declaration. I want that kingdom taken down, and that kingdom gets taken down. That networking, but that is still an area of power. Networking is a very fantastic power, which is why we talk about it on the show. Pop-up ads aren't too much of a hassle. Oh, I know they aren't. They are. They're a few seconds out of your show, which holds you down a little bit, but you can catch up because we have a lot of side topics that kind of throw us through a loop. Because today we're going to be talking about dads, and I know a lot of people popped in and they're like, "You ain't talking about dads." Hang out. Give me 10 minutes. We're going to be talking about dads real quick. What's the best life advice you can give a 20-year-old male college? Great. So stop chasing girls, stop going to frat parties, figure out what kind of 20-year plan you want to have for your life, and start finding a way to get there by first of all living at 30% of the quantity of money that you make without having to live off of somebody else, and take that other 70% and invest it in things that will bring you back a profit. Stop souping up your car. Stop buying Hellcats. Stop buying fucking Jordans and really start being more practical about your spending. If you're in college, especially first year college, instead of wasting money on frat parties and all this other stuff and fraternity dues, take that the right now before Donald Trump changes it, those fixed low interest rate student loans, take as max amount and then take that money and go put it into stock options that are giving you like 18 to 20% interest rates. Leave them there until you get out of college. And then when you graduate out of college, all of y'all college students know that those student loans are payment deferred until you 6 months after you graduate from college. Regardless of whether or not there's interest applied to it, it is payment deferred until you graduate out of college. If you've got 4 to 7% interest on your student loans and it's payment deferred for 8 years, and then you take all of the money off of your student loans and put it into a stock option that's giving you 18% or 20% interest for 8 years, even at 7%, you still made an 11% interest return on your investment after you pay them back 100% of their money, which means you can leave the interest in the stock option, take the principal, pay back the student loans, and have a massive uh, credit score boost, which, by the way, would, until they change the law, be 100% dollar for dollar tax deduction. Where at some point, you, matter of fact, wouldn't even have to take out all of your stocks. You could actually have 100% dividends and then take the dividends off the stock and make the monthly payments on the student loans, paying down the student loans over 30 years and keeping the maximum quantity of principal on your stock option and only taking that a percentage of dividends paid out and pay back the government with that, where your credit score still improves, your uh, debt to credit is low, your credit to income is high, your debt to income is low. You know what I mean? And boost you up all the way around. Or if you're going to take all this money out of your student loans, buy you a house cash up front, buy you a car cash up front, and then take the change and put that into a stock option. That way you don't have to use your credit to buy a house and you don't have to use your credit to buy a car. And then you can build your credit and build your stock option because you already own all the bare necessities in life. That's an advice that I would give to a 20-year-old. And focus on your 20-year plan. Stop chasing women. Women will use your money so that they can have a good time. But they're not all of them will boost you up. If you stumble across a woman that's willing to build with you, that's the woman that you're going to keep because you're going to benefit from her presence. It's not going to cost you money for her to be there. The same way I would give women the exact same advice, exact same word for word advice. Now we're going to slide down a little bit. News 3 or 4 days ago, I got anxiety attack. Mr. Satellite, hey, good to see you, Mr. Satellite. It's been a long time since you've been here. Oh yeah, you can see those guys up there at Drive Out. Create your own job. Exactly. Fiscal responsibility can't be said enough. Before you know it, you'll be 40. And usually at 40 years old, that's when people start realizing that they have fiscal responsibility because in modern ages, kids are under their parents' income until they're in their 30s. So, I even got some male friends right now that still live with their parents at 35, 40 years old, where their parents is the primary breadwinner of the household. You know what I'm saying? And I look at them and I'm like, bro, if you can't take care of yourself, you need to get a second or third or fourth job. You know what I mean? Figure something out. But not everybody thinks about that because the less responsibility they have, because they're comfortable with and used to mom and dad paying for it, aunt and uncle paying for it, grandma and grandpa paying for it. When those people die and their checks stop coming in, can you afford to pay for this place? And if not, you're fucking up because they're not guaranteed to be here tomorrow, and you need to make sure that you cover the spread before they go. Because most parents don't have an insurance policy set up that can cover you when they pass. If you take out a life insurance policy on them, knowing that when they kick the bucket, you'll get a few extra dollars to help you out that you're better. But if they don't let you get a life insurance policy out on them, when they kick the bucket, they think their $30,000 is going to go somewhere. And if you got siblings, y'all splitting the bill, that shit ain't going nowhere. And yet, you're right. Before you know it, you're 71 like Michael. Still trying to 7-year-old body. Oh yeah, look, see, and Mr. Satellite, one of those individuals, which is why I told you guys I got to keep the comments better. Time to go to work. Uh, Now let's go ahead and tap dance onto today's story because today we're supposed to be covering about dads, and y'all got to understand because Michael has thrown it out there a couple times, the false information that don't nobody want kids. That's not true because there's a quiet revolution that's been happening in what young men want out of life. And a headline grabbing statistic has been making the rounds, and it's a huge stunner. Um, a 2023 Pew Research Center survey found that among adults 18 to 34 who aren't yet parents, 57% of men say they hope they have kids one day compared to just 45% of women. Now, before we go any further, it's worth noting that other major demographic studies show different numbers. For example, recent data from the National Survey of Family Growth that looks at a younger group, 15 to 24, found that 86% of men and 76% of women say they want children. So the exact figures can get a little messy. You know, uh, oh, he said he asked can it be a moderator. I don't know. Let's see. I have to figure that out after the show. I got to figure that out after the show. But I'll let you know, satellite. I'll let you know if I got to figure out what because I got to push a button somewhere to make that happen. Uh, Pillar, you're a man. Do you want kids? He said, oh, you're asking the other guy on the show, does he want kids? So you're gonna try to do a survey out the comment section. You know, uh, most men are gonna be single at the age of 11, my guy. So he's gonna try to do a survey in the comment section. You can do a survey in the comment section. Everybody that's coming through, make sure that you like, subscribe, use the reaction buttons, and then tell Michael whether or not you want kids. And tell me what your age is when you tell me whether or not you want kids. We could do a survey right now. Mr. Satellite's 11. He says that he doesn't want kids. He's 11 years old. But typically, young men, 16, 17, 18 years old, looking forward to be fathers. Uh, 20, 25, 30, looking to be fathers. 45, looking to be fathers. Once you start getting over 45, 50, 60 years old, they start giving up on the idea of being fathers and be like, fuck it, I want to live life. And by the time you get to 70, it's not so much so. No, but you're going to take one person, though, bro. You're going to say one person. Mr. Satellite is the only person that has said no in the comments out of the two men that you asked in the comments besides you. You're 70, he's 11. That's not a statistical analysis that can be satisfied. Not in comparison to 86% of 15 to 24. This 11-year-old is not in the demographic. In 4 years, he might change his mind. Let him get two girlfriends in there between 12 and 15, 12 and 16. Oh yeah, he's gonna want to be a dad. Or he's not gonna. Well, no, it's not majority rules, Michael, because majority rules requires a reasonable quantity of actual participating voters, guys. Because you're 70 and you voted, and he's 11 and he voted, and I'm 41 and I'm for it, and out of three people, that's not a big enough census. But if you get 15 people in here, we could probably do a census. You get 30 people in here that'll comment on it, you probably get a census. But let's look at this reasoning that the 57 versus 45% number has captured so much attention, because it isn't about statistical perfection. It's because it points to a real and fascinating shift happening just under the surface of modern society. It signals that the emotional currents guiding our biggest life decisions might be changing. The story is less about a single number and more about a deep evolving search for meaning. Because I've given you guys this information before that men are duty bound. They have to have a purpose for life. And what happens is that if a man does not have a purpose or duty, then those men end up making irresponsible and careless decisions. Typically, when a man has a girlfriend or a wife involved, he's more responsible than what he is when he doesn't. Typically, when a man has children involved, he's more responsible than when he doesn't. And when there are no children left, that's when midlife crisis comes in because there's a lack of responsibility. His duties are fulfilled. So we've covered this over the show over the past few months. But this story is more about a fundamental change in the definition of masculinity and a clear eyed response to the economic realities of modern womanhood. So, before ladies get pissed off, this is a male driven podcast from the male's perspective. If you're watching from Twitter or Twitch, you can put your comments into the comment section. I ask you to keep them appropriate because, as you see, we do have people in the show that is not quite of the age of 18. So, throw your comments inappropriately. Ah, he's back. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. He changed his name and he came back about bears and he wants to tell us that Jesus loves us. I appreciate it. Now, the big question here is why? Why are so many young men looking toward fatherhood for their purpose? And what is the bet on babies really about? Well, to get this shift, your First, going to have to understand the world young men are living in today. For centuries, the roadmap for being a man was, if not easy, at least clearly drawn. A man's identity was built around his role as a provider, from the farm to the factory to the corner office. A man's worth was tied to his ability to earn a living and support a family. It wasn't just a job, it was a purpose, a social contract. Life has had a clear structure for men forever: getting an education, building a career, finding a partner, and provide for your family. That's it. But that world is gone. The last 50 years have shaken that foundation to its core. I'm looking, this man sitting over here talking about his first swear word. I see y'all in the comment section. Now, deinstitutionalization wiped out the stable, lifelong factory jobs that had defined generations of working class men. We just finished talking about just the other day all of the odd jobs that you could get paid to do uh, online or virtually. That is some things that we didn't even think about being capable of doing until I just started talking about it. The rise of the knowledge economy demanded new skills, leaving many behind. And most importantly, the necessary and long overdue advancement of women in education and the workplace has completely rewritten the rules. Women now earn more college degrees than men. They've entered every field, fundamentally altering the economic landscape of the family. This is an incredible victory towards equality. While misused by women in social structures, it is still a victory nonetheless. But it also had a side effect of dissolving that one single identity for men. Because if a man is no longer expected to be the sole provider, what is his primary role in the relationship? What? What are you talking about? The provisions. Oh, version 17 Pro Max. You know your boy gonna come back and hit us with that. That's why I just told him thank you and let him go, because he would have tried to derail the show for 45 more minutes trying to talk about his version of the Bible. He got us the other day. He ain't gonna get us today. Now, I want you ladies to understand why y'all need to like and subscribe as y'all come through. This isn't a complaint about women or anything like that. It's a diagnosis of an identity crisis. Without that clear script, many young men feel adrift in a sea of endless and sometimes paralyzing choices. Sociologists might call it a crisis of meaning. When the traditional anchors are gone, the lifelong job, the role as head of household, the influence of organized religion, a person can feel untethered. Okay, he said, you look easy to put to sleep. All right, I take that challenge. The last time 35 people tried to put me to sleep, I was the last one standing. And they had the advantage because they had billy clubs, handcuffs, mace, tasers. I'm just trying to tell you. Now, modern life is a paradox. It tells young men they can be anything. They can do anything. You can be a YouTuber like me. You could be a coder, a freelance artist. I gave you a list of things that you could do yesterday. You can travel the world with just your laptop and make yourself financially successful or just financially capable of providing for whatever it is you're trying to do, wherever it is that you are. But all that freedom, that lack of prescribed responsibility, can feel less like a gift and more like a void. It can lead to a sense of drift, a feeling that your choices are low stakes and don't really matter. They say you can a lampshade? No, not really. Uh, in this context, fatherhood has reemerged not as a social duty, but as a powerful voluntary anchor. Philosophers have long argued that true freedom isn't the absence of rules, but willingness to choose meaningful responsibility. In a world that often feels virtual and temporary, fatherhood offers something profoundly real. It's a tangible biological and emotional commitment that reorients your entire life. It offers a purpose that no career or hobby can replicate. It's also about legacy. What does it mean to leave a mark on the world today? Your career could be disrupted by AI. Your social media presence is temporary until a more popular show pops up. But raising a child, that's a legacy in flesh and blood. It's a direct personal investment in the future. It creates someone who will carry a part of you forward long after you're gone. Many young men see this not as the end of their freedom, but as the beginning of their meaning. And the desire for fatherhood then isn't just a simple wish for a baby, it's a deep seated search for purpose, a new and durable form of masculine identity in a world where the old ones have crumbled. Yeah, it's okay to touch on the side topics as long as they add value to your podcast and don't distract from the main theme and message. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I try my best not to derail completely, but every now and again, when we have nothing left to feed, I'll definitely go ahead and entertain some stupidity. But today wasn't a day because we just got started. We got shit to talk about. Your choice of being new known forever, very slim. Yeah, well, hold on now. That depends. That depends. That depends on what you do and who you do it with. Because, for example, Martin Luther King will be known for at least another 100 or 200 years. Okay. Every street name that's got his name on it, every park, every library, every community center that's got his name on it. Martin Luther King Jr. is in the history books. Rosa Parks in the history books, right? Donald Trump on that $5 million visa. Donald Trump on that commemorative U.S. dollar coin. He's going to be remembered for a long period of time. The presidents that were all over the U.S. currency. Benjamin Franklin on the $100 bill is gonna. He's been remembered for generations. The average everyday person will be remembered as impactfully as they were in the lives of the people around them. So I didn't do that much for you. You might talk about me till you don't need me no more. I did a lot for you. You'll never forget it. You'll tell your kids. You'll tell your grandkids. Your kids will tell your grandkids. Your grandkids will tell their kids. Eventually, one or two generations, I'm probably three or four generations, I'll probably fade unless I built millions and you're living off of your great great grandfather's millions. Again, for till the end of time, not 100% likely, but the goal is to long past you're dead, still be known by somebody, to leave a type of mark that's significant enough where something other than I can't breathe is going to be what you're known for long after you're dead. Come on now. When you pass, someone will tell a joke as long as they talking about you. Did you hear about the penny going away in the US? going away. The penny's supposed to be gone. It's still in circulation. They're not printing anymore, which means they're going to have to round up currency. They're going to be cheating you out of your stuff because they're going to be putting sales prices at 99 cents and 98 cents and 97 cents, knowing that there are no pennies to cover the spread. So when you pay in cash, they're going to round up on your cost and round down on their distribution of change, and you're not going to get the difference. So you're probably, but again, we're still supposed to be working on digital currency. So, you know, because when you have 8 cents taxation on 1995 and 9 tenths, you're at 96, and that's going to round up to something 98, and they're going to, oh, let's just do it a whole dollar. uh, Within 2 months, you'll be back to laughing. I'll be laughing in my grave. Round it down. Okay, so the search for purpose is on uh, a level that is just half of the story. Men aren't just running from a void, they're also being drawn to a version of fatherhood that is more appealing and rewarding than ever before. The very idea of what a father is has been completely renovated, making it a role many young men actively want rather than one they just expect to fall into. If you picture a dad from the 1960s or 70s, back when Michael was 20 years old, a specific image probably comes to mind. He's a distant disciplinarian, the guy who comes home from work, reads the paper, and expects dinner on the table. He loves his kids, sure, but from a distance. The messy, emotional day to day work of parenting was largely left to his wife. That archetype is pretty much extinct now. It's been replaced by the new dad. This is the father who is present, engaged, and emotionally tuned in. He doesn't just provide, he participates. He changes diapers, does school drop offs, coaches the soccer team, and has real conversations about feelings. He's a co parent in the truest sense of the word. Like he said, can't afford kids today? Go to Japan. Kids are free. Japan pays you, yeah, leave it a year style. Japan pays you uh, for childcare from birth until 18 years old. So you can go to Japan, Asia, anywhere in Asia, really, Korea, South Korea, preferably. Go over there and get you one of those Asian wives and drop you some children out there. Kind of hard to do for minorities because we still have systemic biases over there, but everywhere around the world, really. But the fact is, you could go somewhere and find you a progressive woman, and in a country where they are promoting uh, the reproductive bills, they will pay for your child care. So if each one of your natively born children in their country is free for you and cheap for them, your standard of living for one person in Japan is like $8,500 a year. Two people might be less than 10,000 a year. Two adults and like three children, family of five, still 9,000, 10,000, $11,000 a year. If a family of five can survive on under $25,000 a year and not be suffering, whereas in America, you're not going to get that because 25,000 a year is only going to get one person to the food stamp office so that they can go and get some money so that they can go and get some food. If you can't afford it in this country, just go to another country. In North Korea. Why didn't I ever think about that? Well, you don't think about North Korea because North Korea doesn't have reciprocity with the United States. South Korea does. And that's one of the reasons why I give you guys information about different countries around the world that you can live and invest in on Wednesdays because you can go to a different country. You can get a residency and passport visa style scenario where you can use that passport to go to North Korea instead of going to North Korea with a US passport, which would allow you to enter places that you can't enter as a US citizen. You would be entering it from Asia, you'd be entering it from the Caribbean, you'd be entering it from Europe, somebody who doesn't have beef with North Korea. Then you can go and pick you up one of those chicks that you see on those K-pop films. But as it pertains to the dads, this isn't just about a vibe. It's backed by data. And this is one of the reasons why on this and that, when we talk about this, that, and everything in between, I only bring you guys facts. So when we have a debate on the channel, we're having a debate about the facts that I just gave you and your personal opinion of those facts. Facts are never wrong, and your opinion is not wrong. But if your opinion is that the facts are wrong, that's when you're wrong. So, studies show that since 1960s, the amount of time fathers spend with their children has skyrocketed, with some estimates suggesting it has more than tripled. The number of stay at home dads, while still small, has grown with around 204,000 men talking on or taking on the role of primary caregiver in 2021. And what's more, a significant majority of fathers now take at least some time off of work after a child is born, and a dramatic increase from past generations where men used to just leave it all to the woman. I think men started to learn that was a bad idea. But this transformation is reflected and reinforced everywhere in our culture. So for decades, dads in movies and TV were either the wise patriarch, like um, Atticus Finch, or the bubbling buffoon, like Homer Simpson. That buffoon stereotype was everywhere, treating dads like giant kids who couldn't be trusted with a lunchbox. Today, one of the most celebrated dads on television is Bandit Healer from the show Blue Eye. He's a total opposite of the incompetent dad. He's creative, patient, and endlessly involved in his kids' imaginary games. On social media, celebrities like Ryan Reynolds are celebrated not just for their careers, but for their very public, hands on role in their kids' lives. This has made involved fatherhood not just acceptable, but aspirational. It's cool to be a great dad. This cultural shift is happening as we learn just how vital fathers are. We now have a mountain of research showing that kids with engaged fathers have better emotional regulation, higher social skills, and do better in school than when the fathers are absent. And the benefits aren't just for the kids. Studies have linked involved parenting to higher levels of life satisfaction and better mental well being for men. It provides a powerful sense of purpose and connection. This creates a positive feedback loop. Fatherhood is seen as a path to meaning, and being a father actually delivers that meaning. So, for many men, this desire isn't just about the abstract idea of a family, it's about stepping into a role that is finally being recognized for its importance and its ability to bring profound joy to a man's life. Special shout out to Cassie. Here we go. Black women have the most kids out of wedlock and jobless. I cannot agree with that. I would have to do some research on that. Matter of fact, I will go ahead and double check it right now just to see exactly how close you are to that assessment. He says fact. We will see. Not heard this doesn't mean it's not true, but we will double check. We will double check. So you say black women, right, have the most children out of wedlock and are jobless, right? That's what you said. So we're gonna just take a short detour because I don't want no females to think that I'm over here throwing women under the bus. This is not a red pill, blue pill, black pill podcast. I only talk about the facts. And if the shoe fits, if the stiletto fits, sweetheart, you're gonna have to crip walk in it. Uh, so let's see. According to this, black women have higher rates of having children out of wedlock compared to other demographic groups in the United States, but most black women are employed or actively seeking work, contrary to the claim that they are generally jobless. So you were partially correct. As it pertains to the out of wedlock births, government statistics have consistently reported that about 70 to 72% of Black children are born to unmarried mothers, a rate that is significantly higher than other groups, such as Asian being 17%, whites being 29%, and Hispanics being 53%. A Native American, which is like Indians and stuff to that effect, is 66%. Because of this disparity, are linked to systemic issues, including segregation, unequal access to education, higher incarceration rates among Black men, and economic hardships resulting in fewer marriageable partners. Um, as far as employment and labor force participation in 2025, the unemployment rate for Black women is around 6 to 7.5%, which is higher than the national average of about 4.3% and about double the rate for white women. However, it is important to clarify that being unemployed means actively seeking work but not currently employed and does not equate to being entirely jobless because y'all know that folks do stuff for money under the table while they're not on a W 2 job. They're not technically unemployed. They're still getting paid from somewhere. We also have to recognize that there are a lot of females of all races that are in cash only occupations like escorts, exotic dancers, shot girls, other such things. Before we even get to like OnlyFans and Backpage, that pays for their standard of living, but it is not considered a job. Now, most black women participate in labor forces at rates equal to or higher than other groups of women, and often working in sectors such as healthcare, education, and government services. So, a lot of women were unemployed in the month of October. High unemployment rates reflect systemic barriers where recent government labor layoffs occurred and undercounting of self employed and entrepreneurial activities, not widespread joblessness as a whole. So while Black women do face higher rates of out of wedlock childbirths and above average unemployment, these trends are shaped by complex social, historical, and economic factors and do not mean that most Black women are jobless, as you just said. Black women work diligently and are over represented in essential service professions, and those who experience unemployment tend to be actively looking for work or engaged in entrepreneurial efforts at the same time. So they're either they got their little side hustle on and they're still doing their work. So technically, you're not all the way. So you were correct that black women do have more children out of wedlock than other races, but the rest of it was wrong. They're not just jobless. They not all they probably are the least quantity of women that are working for a W two employer, but that doesn't mean they're jobless. Um, don't take responsibilities for the situations they're in. Well, that's all women though, bro. You can't say, oh well, just because they're black, they're not responsible. There's a lot of there's an entire generation of a feminist movement that wants the authority of being the boss, but not the responsibility of being in the boss position. They dominate their boyfriends in their relationships, but they don't respect the men. But men are expected to be considered masculine men if the men are responsible and in charge of the stuff that women don't want to be responsible for. So that's a whole different topic that we're going to talk about on another day. And then you got to understand them. The Majority of Americans are not taxpayers. To be honest, we're considered taxpayers, but think about big business. The top 1% doesn't pay taxes to get tax exemptions. Back to the main topic. To really understand the gap in desire between fathers wanting children and women not wanting children, we have to flip the coin. Because if young men are being pulled towards this new version of fatherhood, what forces are shaping the perspective of young women? And why might they be expressing more caution? So the answer is rooted in a stark demographic trend, the declining US birth rate. Because if more men want to be dads, but we're having less kids born every year, what's going on? Statistically, fertility is measured per woman, and the data is clear. Women are having fewer babies and delaying motherhood. In fact, the US fertility rate dropped to a historic low, with federal data showing it fell to fewer than 1.6 children per woman. 1.6 children per woman, so less than 2 kids per woman. And this is well below the 2.1 rate needed to sustain the population. Part of this statistic, uh, while this is a true reality, is tied to reproductive autonomy. This is where a lot of people can come in and start chiming in left and right. Access to abortion, for instance, measurably reduces birth rates. Studies show that states with fewer barriers to abortion see a decline in birth of roughly 4 to 5%. Conversely, recent increases in abortion restrictions after Donald Trump passed those laws earlier this year are associated with a small but marked rise in birth rates in those states that enforce the laws, an average of about 2 to 5% increase. Now, this dynamic becomes more complex when partners' wishes diverge. While no natural data tracks the specific subset of abortions occurring against a father's wishes, studies estimate that up to 15% of abortions involve pregnancies that were wanted by at least one partner. And when we've talked about abortion in the past, I've said that if at least one person wants that child to live, that child should not be aborted, regardless of what the other person doesn't want. If you don't want the responsibility, walk away from it. But if at least one of you wants it, give the child to the one that wants it. Now, this indicates a portion of abortion occurs even when a father expresses a desire to have the child. However, it's important to note that the effect on overall statistics is modest, and the far larger drivers of the birth rate are widespread uses of contraception, delayed childbearing, and economic pressures. Now, this is going to play heavy on relationships in modern 2025 because women who make up their minds that they don't want to be a parent until they're older, which is their right to do. You can delay pregnancy until you're 30 or 35. But from 18 to 35, you're dating men that want to be fathers. You're going to tell them it's your body and you do whatever you want, and that's fine, but you fall out of a good relationship because you're dating a man that you knew from the first date wanted to be a father, but you don't want to be a mother. That compromises your ability to be successful in your relationship. As long as you are not willing to be a mother, you need to make sure that on the first and second date that you're not dating a man that would prefer to be a father, because the same way you should not be forced into something that you don't want to do, you should not force someone else out of something that they want to do. Uniformity. Now, much of the overall decline is due to women delaying childbirth in their 30s rather than in their 20s. And this is happening as they pursue higher education and building their careers, which results in fewer childbearing years and ultimately smaller family sizes. Because if you're having children at 35, you're only going to have 1 to 3 children between 35 and 40, as opposed to being able to have 10 children between 20 and 30 or 12 children between 20 and 40, understanding that some breaks might occur after the fifth or eighth or ninth child. Now, that statistic plays a huge role on monogamy because a man that wants a large family is dating a woman that only wants one kid. In order for that man to have a large family, he's going to need extra women involved to have more children. So, again, ladies, you have to find out from the first, second, fifth date what kind of long term goals does the man that you're talking to have? And are you willing to aid him in fulfilling those goals before you commit to the man? Because if you don't want children and you force him to give up on that idea till a later date, or you put a pin in that topic, or let's talk about it later kind of situation where you're dismissing his desires, and then when the topic comes back up again, the worst thing in the world that you can do, ladies, is claim we agreed that we wouldn't do that. No, we did not. You dismissed it, and I allowed it to be dismissed because I didn't want to fight with you about it. But the position of the man never changed, and the position of the woman never changed. And now you've reached a point in the relationship, an apex of the relationship, where if the man's wishes are not met, all of the investment that y'all had goes to the wayside. This is a complex scenario. Yet another reason why relationships are lasting 1 year, 6 months, 5 days, 1 year, 5 months, and 6 days. Because after a while, man wants to commit with his woman, he's going to want his woman to carry his seed, and she's not willing to do that until she's almost 45. Now, this is a rational calculation based on the world that these women are seeing. And that world, for all its progress, still charges a heavy tax on motherhood, where women expect themselves to be the responsible person over the children. Women are not assuming that the man who wants the child will put in the effort for the child. The way a kid wants a dog and then the parents take care of the dog for the sake of the kid, this isn't the same thing. But as long as women believe that they're going to give birth to the child and then they're going to have to put their career on hold for the child and then they're going to have to take care of the child for the man through the time that the child is young enough for the where the man doesn't do anything about it, the woman is burdening themselves with the idea that they are going to be the one that's carrying this load instead of putting that load on the father who wanted the child. Now, you can't take back the birth and say, "Oh, you promised me that you was going to do this. Let's put the kid back because you're not doing your part." But the fact is that this mentality that this is her responsibility, if she has this kid, even though he wanted it, that's going to be her decision maker. So let's start with the motherhood penalties. And this isn't a theory, it's a well documented economic fact, and we've covered these penalties quite a few times on the show. It refers to the systemic disadvantage women face at work after having kids in terms of salary, perceived competence, and promotions. The moment a woman becomes a mother, she's often seen as less committed or less available, whether that's true or not. The pay gap between men and women is a reality based on job selection because the pay rate is the same on the same job. But if you get a lower paying job in a different company than a man who aims for a higher paying job in another company that might be more demanding, that might be more grueling, that might be more aggressive, more dangerous, you want to play it safe and do a job that allows you to be more readily available for your kid, the pay gap is going to be real. But for young, childless people early in their careers, that gap is often very, very small. It opens up dramatically after the first child is born. This penalty adds up over time, with one projection suggesting the lifetime earnings loss for a woman who takes time off can be hundreds of thousands of dollars because of the one kid. Young women, many already dealing with student debt and a high cost of living, are accurately aware of this phenomenon. But it's not just financial. There's also the immense weight of the mental load and the second shift phenomenon. The second shift phenomenon is the unpaid work that starts after the paid work day ends, the cooking, cleaning, and homework help that women don't expect men to do. But at the same time, women don't want to do it. So instead of finding a man that cooks, cleans, and helps kids with homework, they find a man that they believe is masculine because he spends a bunch of money on her entertainment. But she believes that because it's been socially expected based on gender roles that she's gonna be doing the cooking and cleaning and helping kids with the homework and raising kids, and that's not what she wants to do. So get you some TV dinners. We're gonna eat out. I'm gonna do my thing at work, and you're gonna do your thing. The mental load is its invisible cousin to that expectation because the mental load is the nonstop cognitive labor of managing a household. It's knowing when you're out of milk, scheduling dentist appointments, and remembering to buy a gift for that birthday of whichever kid that's up next, and hoping you have enough money to do that. Because God forbid you can't afford to get one kid a present after getting another kid a present. Guess what happens? The children start believing that certain kids are getting more favoritism than other kids. That puts a dynamic rift in the household. It's the thankless job of being the family's project manager, where you rarely get told thank you by the kids. You rarely get told thank you by your partner. And while the new dad is more involved than ever, broad data shows a significant imbalance still remains. Globally, men spend on average only about a third of the time that women do on unpaid domestic and care work. And this means that for many women, having a child also means signing up for a second unpaid job. And this isn't a criticism for their partners, it's a look at the society that has encouraged women to lean into their careers without building the supports needed to make that sustainable with motherhood. The United States is an outlier among developed nations for its lack of federal mandated paid family leave and its scarcity of affordable childcare, where other countries around the world not just gives paid leave to mom to stay home from work and take care of the kids, but it also gives dad paid time off from work for up to a year where both parents can stay home and take care of the child, which allows mom to have a break. Another reason why you should probably go to Asia and have a kid. Faced with this reality, young women are making a logical choice. They've invested in their education and their careers. They've tasted financial independence and professional fulfillment. A full life for many young women is a rich tapestry of career success, autonomy, travel, and personal growth. And they're not going to tarnish that with a child. A lot of women, believe it or not, put it on their profile that they love to travel, knowing fucking well that they don't go nowhere. Of course, you would like to travel, but you don't go nowhere. But if they can find a man that will impress her by taking her places, she gets to go places. It's harder for her to do that if she's got kids. That's got to go to school on a regular basis. This isn't about rejecting family. Again, the data shows most young women do hope to be mothers someday, even though their biological clock is ticking backwards while men's biological clocks are ticking forwards. It is, however, about reprioritizing their life and their life's goals. They aren't willing to sacrifice their entire identity, financial security, and professional ambitions for a version of motherhood that society still makes incredibly difficult. They're delaying childbirth to establish their careers, build a financial cushion, and find a partner who will be a truly equal partner, not just a helper. Men have been trying for decades to find a woman that will be at least a helper, and they're not willing to be a helper, much less an equal partner. They want to be a dominator or a sugar baby. And I don't understand why there's such a broad spectrum between the two. When did equality mean that a woman must be on top of a man? Equality didn't mean that a woman was under a man. So when did equality mean that a woman has to be on top of a man? Why can't she be beside her man? I don't know. It's crazy. So while young men are looking at fatherhood and seeing a solution to a crisis of meaning, many young women are looking at motherhood and seeing a crisis of logistics. They see the joy, but they also see the cost, a cost that our current system still expects them to bear disproportionately. Their hesitation isn't a lack of desire, it's an abundance of foresight. So, where does this leave us? On the one hand, you have a generation of young men who see fatherhood as a primary source of purpose. And on the other hand, you have a generation of young women who are rationally aware of the huge cost that society still imposes on mothers. While women are not looking for the type of men that would take over that responsibility and allow her to be the breadwinner that she wants to be, we still have a large quantity of men that are looking for the women that are willing to give the man the child that he wants to take care of. Our goals aren't intertwined with one another. When these two trends collide, you get what someone is calling the great mismatch. And this is a dynamic playing out in real time on dating apps and in tough conversations between couples. You see men who are falling uh, into situations where they feel a deep pull to start a family. And at the same time, you see a woman of the same age who are just hitting their professional strides and getting the promotions and leading the big projects and finally achieving the financial independence they've worked so hard throughout their life for. And their timeline for a family might be 5 or 10 years down the road. Now, the irony is that with a natural birth, the longer a woman takes to give birth, the harder it is to do. Now, I tell women yet again, if you in your 18 to 22 decide that you're going to be a mother in your 40s, why not budget taking a handful of eggs out and putting them into a fertility bank, storing them, doing your 30 years into your career, and then at 45, you get a guy who you can then surrogate a 20-year-old to bear his children so that you can still be the mother to his kids and y'all raise a child together in your 40s after you've done your career thing, you've lived your life, you chased your dreams, and now you're going to do motherhood after menopause. That would fix the problem. However, you still, as you meet men between 18 and 40, are still going to find men that are looking at you for natural birth. And you're not having that conversation that while I'm not planning on giving birth at this time, I got some eggs on the shelf that we can do this later if you're still here when it's time to do it. Totally different discussion. But this creates a fundamental tension. How do you bridge the gap between men that want children before the women are 40 and women that don't want children until after they're 50? The situation isn't for women to abandon their ambitions or for men to give up their desire for fatherhood. The only sustainable path forward is a radical reimagining of partnerships. And this is where the idea of the new dad has become the reality. For this to work, men can't just want to be fathers in the abstract. They have to be willing to become truly enthusiastically equal partners or reasonably appropriately balanced. And this goes beyond just helping out. It actively means that they are sharing the mental load. It means being the one to schedule the doctor's appointments or using their own job's flexibility to handle sick days. And it also means that parenthood as a mom's job is not just mom. It is mom and dad, or dad while mom's at work, because dad should be there. But as a project undertaken by two equal partners is supposed to be the catalyst. Women have to change their mentality to seek out men that desire to be an equal or dominating participant in the childbearing process. Because otherwise, she's not having a kid with that guy because she's not doing it all by herself. And I don't blame her. But even that's not enough, because this problem can't be solved by individuals alone. The pressure forces these choices from systemic biases is going to forever hinder success. As long as the US lacks guaranteed paid family leave, the penalty for having a child will fall harder on women than men. As long as quality childcare costs as much as a mortgage, families will face impossible financial choices. The solution requires structural change. It requires policies that recognize caregiving as a vital tool to our economy and society. The Bet on Babies by young men is, at its heart, a hopeful thing. It's a search for connection, legacy, and love, but for that bet to pay off, for families of the future to flourish, the wager can't just be made by the men alone. The entire partnership and the society around it has to go all in. The solution to great mismatches isn't a retreat to the past, but a courageous leap into the future of true equality and uniformity. Now, this is a complex and deeply personal issue, and there are no easy answers. I'm curious to hear your takes on this. What do you think is the biggest reason for this shift? And what do you see as a solution to bridging this gap? Make sure that you guys take the time to leave your thoughts in the comment section, and let's have a real conversation about it going forward. Now, as we keep moving into next week, I want you guys to note that tomorrow, Sunday, we're going to be doing questions and comments from the fans. Monday, I'm going to be giving you detailed information about the bounce back from the shutdown, and giving you guys information on companies that are benefiting from the bounce back. Tuesday, we're going to be giving you more information about how to manage your credit cards, especially when you now that you got money to spend. Don't waste it all in one place. Wednesday, we're going to be giving you different countries that you can invest in. So we're going to be talking about more unorthodox ways to make money for us. And then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of next week, we're going to be covering different topics that can help you improve your relationships and help you improve with dating and help you improve with socializing and help you improve with networking so that you can make yourself a better person. Because here on this and that, we want to help you guys become higher valued men and women, not just by increasing your finances, but increasing your personal decisions. Your finances plays a role in your personal life, and your decisions in your personal life impacts your finances. When you make bad decisions that cost you money, you have to make more money on your job. When you don't have enough money on your job because you have a glass ceiling employment, you have to put more pressure on your employer in order to get more money, which strains the relationship between you and your employer. If you're not making enough money in your job, you don't have enough money in your personal life, which puts a strain on your personal life, and that puts a strain on your relationship. These are intertwined with one another. So if you put forth a change to improve the things in your life that you are in control out of, and then navigate around the things that you're not in control of, you can find a way to be more satisfied with the kind of life that you lead. And that's what we work on with this and that. Half of the week, we help you with your professional life, and the other half of the week, we help you with your personal life. And on Sunday, you ask me every other question under the sun. With that being said, first off, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you, ladies, to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. And with that, I'm going to say thank you guys for coming to this and that. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Higher ground. Used to chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. Standing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. I'm not landing on higher ground where excellence is found. My potential knows no bounds, raising the bar, breaking ground. I'm not just living, I'm manifesting my vision, cutting through limitations with surgical precision. My expectations are my compass, my respect is my shield to mediocrity and chaos. I will never I'm not just living.